you get a bonus every time Dustin wins special team player?
I wish.
What is the secret ingredient in the Dustin Hopkins smoothie that is enabling him to kick all these 50-plus?
That's a good question. I would say hard work and consistency with the weekly routine. I think that's really been the difference.
Block field goals, jump over the line snapper.
We executed well. Everyone involved on that play, especially the guy that blocked it, heck of a job of execution, and we just saw a matchup opportunity that we liked, and those guys executed well.
So what else, Bubba, went into that other than the great play there by Miles?
Just everyone involved in the play. I mean, Shelby, J.E., Denzel, everybody factored in there for the matchup that we saw, and just good execution on the play overall.
How dangerous is that? Because if he touches somebody, right, it could be a 15-yard penalty, right? So, like, do you consider it a risk calling that play?
I mean, it's a calculated risk, but I had confidence in our guys. We practiced it well, and practice execution equals game reality is what a great coach once told me.
How often do you practice that play? Like, to actually see what it's going to look like in a game?
I mean, when we have our field goal period, that's when we ran it. So we ran it a handful of times during the week.
Which coach shared that with you?
Bill Belichick.
To Denzel earlier, and he said how excited you were to pull that play out. What was your emotion like
When we got the block? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right?
I think Miles said after the game that you noticed that their linemen really go low. Is that the key to calling that play?
Yeah, and so, I mean, look, I coached there for 5 years. So they had a guy that didn't play in the game that had been on the other side of the line for the entire time that I was there. So, we saw an opportunity with the personnel, and fortunately for us, we got really good execution from our players to get the block.
Just waiting to bring this out against your former team?
No, I think that, I mean, Tony asked a few weeks ago, do I have any tricks up my sleeve? Everyone has them. It's just, when are you going to use them? When is the right opportunity to use them? So, look, we're always going to have things ready to go, and whenever we see an opportunity with personnel, matchups, things we like, then we'll just use them as we see it.
Well, as part of that thought process, because it was a 60-yard kick, you thought the trajectory might start a little lower, or did you make that call if it was a 35-yard field goal?
Not necessarily. I think that, it was, to me, it felt like the right time to call it. A lot of times, I'm always going to call the game based on, you can have a plan going into the game, and then that plan's going to change at some point based on momentum, how your team's doing in that instance. Things change throughout the game, and I feel like the way I call it a lot of times is based off instinct. I just felt like it was a good time to call it, and I'm glad I did.
What's the name of that call?
We actually called it Indy. Yeah, we called it Indy.
I'm surprised it's legal to do that. And do you ever get, wonder if it won't be?
No, I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, as long as you're not contacting the offensive line. So.
What was your scouting report on the Seahawks special teams?
They're good. They're a physical group. Their coordinator, I played with Larry Izzo in New England whenever I was a young player. Learned a lot from him. He's a good coach, and his teams reflect his play style as a player. He was a super instinctive, physical football player, and his team has kind of taken on his style of play.
If Pierre is playing a lot or even running back 1B, can he still be the kick return?
We're looking at some other players there, but he's an option for sure still. Yep.
The state of the return game, it seems that every week personnel you got.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had some injuries. We've lost some guys to bigger roles offensively, obviously with Jerome. So as the roster changes, we have to adapt, and I think our players have handled it pretty well.
Dustin said that he's always felt that he could consistently hit those 50-yard field goals. He just maybe didn't get the opportunities early in a season with different teams. For you guys, what made you confident early on to let him go for those longer ones?
I mean, we've seen it in practice. We've seen him have the accuracy, the timing, the accuracy, the elevation, everything's been good in practice, and he's done a good job of, like I said, you take it from the practice field to the game. Rarely do you see, a play not work in practice work in a game. So you need to be able to do it in practice and then take it to the game on Sunday. So our guys in all of our units have done that in a pretty good way.
Season, when you talked about how much you hate penalties, what's your running total right now in penalties, and are you pleased with it?
We probably have more penalties than it feels, or than it, because we haven't done it. We haven't done a bad job as far as, poor decision making, like that result in penalties, like blocking a guy in the back or something like that. We've had a couple, not to say dumb, but we've had a couple dumb penalties. Like we had to delay a game at the end of I think it was the San Fran game maybe. That it didn't hurt us there. Like last week, Tony jumped off sides, which we actually turned into the league, and it was illegal. The snapper takes his hand off the ball and pops his head up. So Tony jumps off sides on a punt return. It's like 4th and 17. So we've had a couple of those, penalties, but I think we're playing pretty clean overall, and I'm actually happy with how we've done as far as the penalties go, and not making fouls. Of how many we've had, I don't know. Honestly, because how I see it is are we really hurting? Are we hurting the team by making a bad decision and blocking in the back? That's going to give us a poor drive start. We haven't really had that. So you haven't really seen those at the end of a play. It's really been almost pre-snap to a degree.
Deshaun Watson out, do you feel on special teams that you guys have to, really step it up even more so and create great field position, returns, and make those kicks and do everything?
I would never really say that. I feel like every week we're talking about controlling field position, regardless of who the quarterback is. We always want to give our offense the best drive start possible, our defense the best drive start possible to succeed. So, everyone's got to do their job. Our job is to do as best we can to give the offense the best field position.
Remember when P.J. Walker came to Indianapolis? Were you surprised that?
Yeah, he was my scout team kick returner.
And are you surprised at
Philip,
what's going on here?
Yeah, I didn't know he was PJ until a few years later. I used to call him Phil.
So are you surprised that what he's doing in the ends of games?
I'll say this, and there's guys on our team that have said this as well. Phil, PJ, Phil. I still call him Phil. He's like, you're the only one that calls me Phil. I'm like, well, I don't know you as PJ. You don't call me, not Bubba. But no, I mean, I think the kid's he's just got that gamer in him. I think he does. He's an instinctive football player. He makes plays with his feet. He's got a strong arm, and obviously, he's done a good since he left us in Indy back in whatever that was. I think 19 was his last year there. I mean, he's done pretty well. So I was when I found out we were gonna get him here, I was excited to have him.
With Dustin, I know he talked about too that he feels like since he got here, it's been kind of this collaborative process almost, especially in practices and you guys asking him what he feels like he needs to work on and that part of it, I guess, how much is that a part of your coaching style? How have you developed that and that collaborative process?
I think that, for me, I always want to try to make the specialists as comfortable as possible, to a degree. I like them to do what they want to do, and I'm going to be there to supervise and obviously give my input and feedback, but I want him to if he doesn't want to hit a lot of balls, and it's going to be better for him in the long run, like that's what I want.
One more question about those penalties. Every special teams coach tries to tell their players, don't hold, don't block in the back. But you seem to be more successful, so why is that?
I hit our guys on it every week, every Friday. I mean, I'm hitting them on it nonstop. I show things from throughout the league, poor decision making, understanding the roles, how the officials are calling the game. So I feel like our guys have a good awareness and understanding of how the officials are calling the game and what not to do. And then just making good decisions. Back to the Phil Walker. So I showed a clip of him from Indy as a kick returner a couple weeks ago in my Friday meeting as well.
Is Miles the only guy on the team that could do what he did? Or do you have other guys that could do the standstill, jump over everybody?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Like you didn't try out or anything?
we didn't have any tryouts. I knew that we had a good guy to do it. But yeah, well, we're always going to have, an idea of someone's skill set and who can potentially do one of those things. So most coaches will do that, but everything I do I feel like is game plan specific to the opponent. I'm going to try to put my guys in the best spot, the best matchup to match up against the guy. I don't want to put a guy in a spot where I'm asking him to do something that he can't do or that he can't win in a matchup.
Which Friday meeting that was, that you showed that clip with Walker?
Which Friday meeting it was?
Which Friday was?
Yeah, I think it was actually a Saturday meeting. I started on a Saturday, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Seattle's in a place that the Browns typically, play at regularly, but what makes it a challenging place? What are you expecting in terms of conditions, in terms of for especially for a guy like Dustin?
So I played in San Fran for 2 years. We played there a number of times, including the loudest game I've ever played in the NFC, played or coached in the NFC Championship in 2013. To me, it's the loudest stadium in the league. It's hard to play there. The crowd is definitely an impact, and we have definitely prepared, and we are preparing our players to handle the noise, both on offense, defense, and in the kicking game. It's a fun place to play. It's a fun place to coach. Great environment. So our guys should not be surprised when we get there and understand how loud it's going to be. Like, it's going to be loud. So we're trying to do our best to prepare them for that.
The clip of Phil, was that to make fun, or was there something special about it?
It was. He was literally my scout team kick returner for most of the season. So I was just making a joke that he was starting in the game. It might have been the first game he ended up coming in, and yeah.
He was a returner?
He was good. Guys were shocked that he was actually the kick returner. And then I told him that I showed it, and he laughed, obviously. So.
Well, another question about Seattle. Jason Myers has been one of the more consistent kickers for them for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to give away state secrets here, but when you evaluate when a unit like, for example, their field goal unit is as efficient as they are, where do your eyes go first? Are you looking at something on the line? Are you looking at the snap? How do you evaluate when something goes so well like that?
Yeah, you look at everything. I mean, with the field goal operation, it starts with the snap, the hold, and the kick. You're looking at the protection. He's definitely been an effective kicker. He does a good job. He gets good elevation on his kicks. He's got good timing and tempo to the ball. Larry's done a good job with him out there, and he's definitely been a weapon for them. And the punter's a dude too now. Michael Dixon, he's a real deal.
Did you know that's the only time the Colts have lost with the roof open, the window closed?
Is that right?
Yeah.
I told you guys it was going to be open though. And it was it was not warm. It was not on our sideline. It was not warm. Over in the sun, it was a little bit. Thanks. Yeah.
It seems like you really, more than anyone, understands, kind of what Deshaun is going through when it comes to the shoulder and people questioning whether or not he actually should be playing or not be playing. Can you talk about how, you really get it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. I mean, like I said last week, he's a thrower. And when you can't throw at 100%, then it's tough to go out and play. It's not by lack of want. I can tell that. I know he's frustrated. I know he's trying to do everything he can to get back on the field with his teammates. And he showed that last week. He came out and fought through, got back, had some practice time late in the week, and tried to be out there on Sunday. Yeah, I know he's frustrated. It's just part of the deal. I mean, when he's healthy, he'll be back, and we just can't wait to get him healthy.
He said he thought he was ready, and then he realized he was not ready. What did you guys think? Did you think he was ready and realize he wasn't ready?
We were hoping. You see the practice on Friday. It was better than Thursday. 2 more days of rest. Maybe it'll be, feel a lot better on Sunday. And then, he took the hit, and the hit was really for us. It was like, all right, let's put PJ in there, and let him heal up a little more. He didn't look like himself early. He had a throw there that was probably a little short than he usually would throw. So those were some of the things that went into that decision. But hats off. He tried to get back. He did everything he could to be out there. And then the hit happened, and we just held him after that.
How are you guys going to gauge this? Because he's going to get hit again.
Sure,
he's
he will.
back out there.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, how do you know?
Every hit could be a big hit. You don't know what's going to happen. It just so happened to aggravate the shoulder again. So again, I think when he feels like he can throw it 100%, the hits will just be what they are at that point. But
I think he's going to be 100% this year.
yeah, I mean that's part of it. But what's that percentage that gets him back out on the field where he feels like he can compete? That's the thing we're looking for, and that's where he's trying to get to. I've been in that situation. I had an AC. Third degree in a preseason game in Denver. I sat out most of the year, and I ended up starting 3 games at the end of that year, and I was not 100%. It's not a comfortable feeling as a thrower to go out there and have to throw a 25-yard comeback, and you know that you don't quite have that arm strength at that time to get it there. So I can definitely say I've sat in his shoes, and it's not a comfortable feeling. Again, when he's healthy, I can't wait to get him back out on the field.
Did you know on that, even the first pass too wasn't very good, but did you know on just Julian Blackman's interception that he just did not have the velocity?
That's what it looked like. He was trying to juice it out there, and it fell a little bit short. So that's when, kind of, I don't know if he's quite ready to be out there. And we wanted to give him every opportunity to. He's our leader, but it just didn't happen on Sunday. So, get him back in there, get him healthy, get him into rehab, do his rehab process and go through that. And again, can't wait to get a healthy Deshaun back out on the field.
Said he wanted to go back out in the game. How hard did he fight to get back out there?
Deshaun's a great, teammate, great person. He respects obviously the coach's opinion, I think, and Kev, talked to him, and I think, I think at that point he actually had an idea how he felt, and probably felt like that was the best decision for the team at that time. But again, he tried everything he could to get out there last week and got there, and then just didn't pan out.
Knowing that PJ's starting this week for you guys, how helpful is that in this process of practice this week, and again, just gaining his comfortability with this offense?
It's huge. He took the reps last Wednesday, and then really split them up on Thursday and didn't take them on Friday. So having a full week of practice will only help. Now this will be his third time going in, third week of preparation where he's getting first team reps. Yesterday's practice was really sharp. I was really impressed with him. And the offenses in general, how we performed yesterday. So that's an indication. We just keep getting better each week, each practice. Just keep trending upward.
Alex, they did pick up Frank Clark, and I'm sure you're prepared for that. But
Sure.
Besides that, they have 11 different guys who have had sacks. So they come from everywhere, obviously.
Right.
Is that a challenge mostly on the line to identify where it's coming from, or the quarterback?
It falls on everybody, really. The receivers not so much, but the protection backs, the tight ends when they protect, the quarterback. They have good scheme. They have a very active front. There's a lot of movement. Their pressure packages are good. So we have to be on top of our game. That's one thing we talked about. Playing out there is not easy. So letting these guys kind of, especially the guys that have not been out there, give them kind of an idea of what's coming until you actually hear that and the noise and you can't hear a thing in the huddle. We really got to focus on our preparation. So when we go there, it's not really thinking about the play. It's reacting and understanding, hey, I only heard one word, but I have to put it all together. So just trying to get those guys ready to go out and operate on the road.
Alex, those first 3 quarters, actually both games, PJ looked a little shaky, but then 2 game-winning drives. What is it about him in clutch that makes him Good.
Yeah, it's not perfect, and we know that. We don't expect it all to be perfect, but he's a gamer. He really does step up in the big times of the game. Really, 2 big throws in that 2-minute drive last week. Had a big throw in the week before. So we're getting it done. I'd like to be cleaner earlier, but when it comes down to it, I'm really proud of this offense. I think it was a 12-play drive at the end, 4th and 1. Just the resiliency and the toughness and the never die attitude of this team in general. But really proud of that offensive group and PJ.
Deshaun obviously went through his normal pregame routine and everything. After the pregame was over, did you guys feel like you saw what you wanted to see out of him during that?
Felt like it was good enough to give him a chance to go out there and start. Yeah.
PJ, Alex, is your number one focus with him limiting or cutting back on those turnover-worthy plays?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You just keep talking about making great decisions. If we can go into Seattle and not give them the ball at all on our side of the ball, it gives us a chance. So just just talking about how important it is, making great decisions. The interception that he had in this game, it was just a throw that just leaked too far back inside. It was a compliment of a couple of things on the other side, but that was a chance there, that just, it wasn't a decision. The decision was correct to throw it. It was just where the ball ended up landing on that long interception. But, he understands that. He's played a lot in this league. He's played games. He's now won 2 for us. So, he knows what to do. We just got to, we need to go out and play that perfect, clean game where we have a nice, clean slate at the end of the day.
Alex, I want to ask you about the rushing attack. Obviously, the first couple of weeks with Nick healthy, there were some big numbers, but that room's obviously gotten a little bit thinner, and yet still effective, efficient, right now number 2 in the AFC rushing the ball. What do you generally attribute your rushing success as a team to right now?
It's a team stat for all of us. That's the receivers on the perimeter. That's everybody up front. That's the runners. We've always ran the ball well here. I think Coach Callahan, has great scheme, great technique in his teaching. Where it's definitely a strength of ours. And then the guys that step in, Kareem really ran hard. The last 2 games, I was really proud of the way he's running the ball. And then Pierre comes in, and he hits a couple big ones in that 2-minute drive. Jerome, the same thing there. So, it's a little bit by committee right now, but that's fine. We've got 3 backs right now. We'll get Jerome back. We'll have some guys up, this week. But I think it's a little bit of everything. We run the ball well. I think it's well coached here through scheme and technique, and our guys buy in.
Are there many guys you'd rather give the ball to on 4th and 1 than Kareem Hunt?
Not in that situation, absolutely not. That was a kind of situation where we knew that was going to be a call on the 4th down. We were trying to score before that, but we knew if all else failed, we were going to run one of our signature plays.
Is it tough sitting there, just kind of like you can get it in if you run the ball, but kind of waiting and holding on to that?
Yeah, I thought Kev did a great job. They got the ball back with 15 seconds. If we just scored on 1st down on a pass play, or something would have happened there, we'd give them more time. So we felt good about how we ended that drive with as less amount of time on the clock as we could.
Where are you when Amari Cooper doesn't get a target for, I don't know if it's a whole half, but it was a lot of that first half at least. And then at halftime you say, okay, let's make sure we try to get him the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Not something, I think Kev does a great job of that during the course of the game. Who's touched the ball? Who do we need to get touches to? Who do we need to get going? Sometimes Dave will be a guy who will say, hey, let's see if we can get Dave going. Let's see if we can get Amari a ball. Those are our leaders. So when those guys touch the ball, good things generally happen. But it's definitely something that's on the back of coach's mind.
When you look at this,
Couple more.
what challenges does Bobby Wagner present to you guys?
Yeah, man. Guy's been around forever, just torturing me for years now. Played a lot of in Seattle. Really instinctive, really smart linebacker. Just understands exactly the fits and the blocking schemes. And he's slippery inside the box. He plays, that Mike linebacker spot. He's uncanny. He knows what runs are coming. And he's a good guy in the pressure game as well. They like to bring him a lot on pressure. So just a solid veteran. That's tough to. He's seen a lot of football in his day, and it seems like the game slows down for him.
Beyond Wagner, 3 straight weeks, opponents have not had 250 yards of offense against them. They seem to be playing well cohesively. What's unique about the way they defend that is challenging?
It's sort of that Seattle scheme a little bit, much like last week, with Gus Bradley in Indianapolis, a lot of 3-deep zone, kind of a lot of vision defense, do a great job of keeping all eyes on the quarterback, and they squeeze and funnel everything from outside in. I think getting Adams back helps him, gives him a big presence down in the box. He's a physical player, but you know, that the defense is playing at a high level and has been for the last 3 weeks. Big challenge for us to go out on the road and face these guys. Alrighty, thanks guys.